Welcome back to another segment of Lady Mogul Talk. And today we have one of my good colleagues from a long time ago. My goodness, Olivia Turner. She is a native Californian who pursued her dream of attending an HBCU. She, without a doubt, decided that would want to go to Texas Southern University, which would be her home after graduating from Perris High School. During her tenure at Texas Southern University, she played an integral role in several impactful organizations. And get this, it was a lot. I thought I was busy on campus. She participated in the Society of Urban Mathematicians, Habitat for Humanity, the National Organization of Black Chemists and Chemical Engineers, Tiger Yearbook, Collegiate 100 Black Women, and the National Society of Black Engineers. And she also became a member of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. With a focus on high academic achievement and volunteerism, she was a recipient of TSU's Lewis Stokes Alliance Minority Participation Scholarship and other honors. And we'll get into the rest of her bio because it is extensive and highly accomplished. So please give a warm virtual welcome to Olivia Turner. I'm so happy to have you on today.
I'm here. Hi, Avery.
Hello.
Like 9 years.
I know. I was trying to do the math. I was like, oh my goodness. So for those who don't know the backstory, she was Miss Texas Southern University and I was second attendant to Miss Clark Atlanta University. And we met at the HBCU Kings and Queens Coalition and we're friends on Facebook. So I've followed her journey ever since then. And let me tell you, like I said, if you couldn't tell already, she is accomplished. I'm very, very happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
Now, getting into the conversation, let's start right there. We'll start at the HBCU Experience, and this segment is in partnership with the HBCU Experience Movement, and you have some things coming in the works. But first, let's start with your experience at Texas Southern University. So you said you dreamed of pursuing an HBCU education. Why was this important for you? Because I think it's becoming more on the forefront about the importance of HBCUs, but back then I didn't hear much about HBCUs except through my mother who attended one. So why was it important? And we're in the same, well, not grade, but same age. So why was it important for you to attend an HBCU?
Well, it's actually funny that you say that because I didn't have anyone directly around me. I think now that I look at Facebook, I'm like, oh, the football coach went to Grambling. But that was probably the most exposure that I had in high school up until my junior year. I ran for the president of our Black Student Union. And from there, we hosted a Black college fair. So this is where, you're researching all these universities and you're seeing that they offer scholarships and you qualify GPA wise. It's kind of far, but who doesn't want to try something new? I was in a little town, so I was ready to get out of that place and try something new because I feel like I wanted to explore. I wanted to see more, and Perris High was an experience, and I think that that's where it actually started. And after we did the college fair, I then would go to the LA Black College Expo. And then from there, I would be the second vice president of the United Black Student Unions of California. It's really long, UBSUC. And it was at that point, this journey, starting from Perris High as the president of Black Student Union, where I said, I think I'm kind of interested in going to an HBCU. In the book, I talk about actually thinking that I would just be like a California girl forever. I'm going to the beach on the weekends and, hanging out with friends in Malibu or something. But then I said, I want something different. I've been in California most of my life and I want to try something different. And so I applied, got accepted to the universities that I wanted to go to. And I was applying to quite a few. I'm pretty sure I think Grambling, FAMU, and all those were also on my list. But Florida was just too far. I was like, all right, we're jumping too far. We're going way too far. But Houston, I was like, I can do Houston. I have some family in Arkansas, which is still far. They're not in Houston, but What's a 7 or 8 hour drive, you know? So when I accepted going to Texas Southern, I had never been to a HBCU campus. I had never been to Houston. So when I got off the flight for my summer program, that was my first time ever seeing the university. So it was kind of like almost like a movie, it felt like for me, by taking this big leap of faith and it working out in the most incredible way that it could. So that's kind of where that HBCU dream came from, and then watching it come into fruition as I graduated from the university.
Yeah, and you hit the ground running as soon as you got there. I mean, if you paid attention, everyone, she participated in so many campus activities. I was the same way, but I feel like you have me beat on this. Why was it important for you to be involved in so many? They were, I mean, all of them were important, but why was it important for you? I mean, essential to, success as students, but why was it important for you to be involved in these particular activities? Because I see, well, during my experience, I don't know if you had the same one.
Mhm.
There were people who said, "Oh, college is not, the best," or they weren't doing much. And so I would ask, like, "What are you involved in?" They'd be like, "Nothing." I was like, "Okay, well, that probably might be a reason why." So I'm sure that you saw the same thing, and that's why you became involved. So tell us about that experience.
Of course. So when I think about all those organizations, I realize this is over the span of years. And it's like also networking from my classmates who are saying like, hey, we're going to do community service for Habitat for Humanity. Do you want to come? We have meetings every week. Sure, I'll come. So now because my classmate, I'm a part of this organization. My friends, they were like, one of my friends was president of NAACP. Well, guess what? That's my friend, so I have to support her. So now I'm also a member of NAACP. And then if my degree was in math, so there was a club created, Society of Urban Mathematicians, like it was a math pun, but so of course, by default, I would be a part of that organization as well. That was my first introduction into Miss TSU's coronation. I was Miss Society of Urban Mathematicians. So it was in support of friends, and then also things that I like to do that helped me kind of maneuver and be a part of all these different organizations on campus. And I think it helped, especially running for Miss TSU. It's good for people to know who you are, especially if you want, the student body to, support your endeavors and things like that.
Yes, definitely. I think that made the difference for me as well. Being involved in so many activities, I do not regret it because it helped to set us up, not necessarily set us apart, but to help us push ourselves into our next level of success and
Mm-hmm.
have the confidence that we need to pursue our goals. You took a risk to go to TSU, breaking not all ties, but breaking ties with California, moving to a new space. And so it's only right that you also broke barriers to participate in different activities and to catapult yourself to the next level. And you mentioned becoming Miss TSU.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that there are many, many memories you have of your experience at HBCU, but tell us about your experience as Miss Texas Southern University. And I have to mention, I did see that you took your son to the latest Miss TSU coordination. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then I saw how he was just beaming during the ceremony. So you can tell us about that experience too.
Yeah, I wanted him to see it because he's always asking like, "Oh, what did you do and what does it look like?" Now, let me tell you, that coordination was amazing. Okay, I was like,
it looked like it. I was like, ooh.
Beautiful. Mr. and Miss you are amazing. And you could tell that their core was so well put together. Their advisor did an amazing job. And I think the advisor will always play an integral role in you being successful. And so I took my son there and I let him know, like, this is Mr. TSU. This is Miss TSU. He sees their crowns. He's like, this is amazing. We met our new president that evening. And he was like, oh, I was like, she's the president of the whole university. He was like, what? She is a woman? I'm like, yes, Black woman, of course. And I just wanted him to get that experience. And I'm sure we'll go a couple more times, but I think he was old enough to really understand it. And everyone knows him. So they're like, hey, Isaiah, what's up? Maybe you were Mr. TSU at some point here. But that journey to Miss TSU definitely was a challenging one and required a lot of work. We'd go through a boot camp. I call it a boot camp. I'm sure it's called something much more graceful. But I call it a Miss TSU boot camp. So that way, whoever's crowned understands like their role immediately after. So after you get crowned, you know to wave, thank everyone. And so we do interviews. We prepared elevator pitches, walking, waving, and just trying to answer difficult questions and things like that. So doing that with the social aspect as well, because it was like, as a contestant, we would be going to different university events and letting them know, like, I'm a Miss TSU candidate, and, pitching your platform. So that night, I think for the pageant, I just wanted the talent part to be over, because it's different when you do things in private and then you have to perform them in public. And I said I can do the interview, I can do the question, I can do the walking, but the dancing, right? It's so many people, and I think I slipped a little bit. My shoes were a little slippery at the bottom, and I was like, I caught myself, but I was like, that could have just went so far left if that had happened. But I worked really hard in that competition, and in my heart, I felt like I had won. That's how I felt in my heart. I had put in so much work. I studied, and I really tried to prepare for this. And so when they called my contestant number, I don't know. It's almost like you can't hear anything. You just hear the moderator. And so they called my number, and I was just like super excited. I felt like I was on a cloud. And then that's when the real work begins, right? At the moment you put the crown on your head. So I took the time to really think about my platform before speaking about it with my advisor. And it was bridging the gap between minorities and mathematics. My major was math. I know that is a subject that people run away from. I even have a little bit of hate for it. So I figured, why not try to get people to understand that this is an important subject? This is a subject that you will use for the rest of your life, no matter what you do. So with the Verizon Ultimate Rain competition, I placed second, and I used the prize money to host an academic bowl at Texas Southern with inner city high schools. So the prize money was to host them, breakfast, lunch, beats, TI calculators, things that were just really instrumental in me focusing on getting my degree. And so I think that they enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was the first one. And then I gave out 2 scholarships from that money for STEM-related majors before my reign was over. So I would say that the journey was purposeful. I think it prepared me definitely for the real world, with competition and communicating and just really trying to read a room and understand, who your audience is. And I would do it again. It was fun. And I think I got my crown. A gift given to me was a box for my crown. So I have that, and I get to look at it all the time. And I'm like, oh, I did that. Now, the only thing that kind of gets me caught up is that was 9 years ago. And I'm like, time went by that fast.
I know. Oh my God.
It went by that fast. I was 20 when I was crowned Miss TSU. So I kind of took extra hours to become an early junior. And so I always forget, I'm like, that's why it feels that way, because, you kind of were a year early, but you were still on time with your credits. So.
Yes. It's funny how you can meet a person, you still follow their journey for like years, 9 years or 10 years, however long we've known each other, and still not know every single thing about them. Because reading your bio, I was like, I didn't know she did that. And then just hearing how you took the prize money to really just give back to your campus. You could have done so many things with it, but you decided to instill scholarships into the students and do the event, the math bowl that you had. That is a testament of a true queen giving back. So I'm just like, oh wow, I'm in awe.
Thank you.
But I, you see, I'm still just at a loss for words. Anyway, so you have a book coming out with the HBCU Experience Movement, highlighting your experience as Miss Texas Southern University.
Mhm.
Please tell us, what was that experience like to co-collaborate with these other amazing queens for your particular chapter of the book? I'm sure it brought back so many memories of your experience.
It did. It did. Especially because one of the queens, we knew each other in high school. We were both a part of Black Student Union at different high schools, and we came together through the United Black Student Unions of California, or maybe it was the Southwest region. I can't remember, but um, I loved it because I was like, oh my gosh, we've come so far. Like I remember us talking about what colleges we were going to, and finding out, oh, I'm going to Texas Southern, you're going to Southern, and I became Miss TSU, you became a Southern. So that's someone that's like, we had direct contact during our journeys. And I think that's amazing. And then co-authoring the book and telling a bit of your story, because it's a chapter, right? It really highlights some very important moments in my collegiate career. And I leave some gems in there that are really important. One of them I speak to is just being a voice for HBCUs. As graduates, or even people who've attended, it's your duty to speak up when you hear people talking about universities and colleges they want to go to, and advocate for an HBCU. I don't think there's a university or HBCU that we have that doesn't have a program that any other school doesn't have. So for me, the moment that you say you're looking at colleges, I'm like, what program? Do you want to go out of state? What are you looking at? And I will run down a list of HBCUs to consider. So I definitely say, be a voice for us, keep us alive, because not everyone has the opportunity to meet someone who's attended an HBCU or have that very close-knit family or friends who are all graduates from an HBCU. So I always say, if you can, definitely advocate for us.
Definitely. And I am quick to jump on people. HBCUs are the best. Clark Atlanta is the best. Even if we like rival with each other, if you are outside of the family, do not talk about an HBCU.
Exactly. And someone told me, they're like, y'all energy is so different. Like, you all are like, oh yeah, no, HBCU. Yeah, we went here. We went here. We have friends at, Southern, North Carolina, A&T, FAMU, Howard. We definitely have Spelman, Clark Atlanta. We have friends everywhere. And that's why I love the Queens conference, the Kings and Queens conference, because how else will we ever have met the other kings and queens? We're not in the same conference. We probably would never see each other in a game or anything like that. So when they host those conferences and even the competition that happens later that year, we would never get a chance to meet each other, So I think that that's amazing. And I love that the proceeds go to that as well. Some of the proceeds for the book go to the Leadership for Kings and Queens. So, even if you're not into pageantry or into competition, you still get the experience. That's what it was for me. When I saw Miss TSU for the first time, I was like, that's what I want to do. What's going on? And all my roommates were from Jackson. So they knew about Jackson State. They understand the whole Miss thing. And for me, it was always like having to learn something new, which is even, it goes into today. I feel like at work, I learn something new every single day. So for me, I was always learning something new attending an HBCU.
Wow. That's amazing. I feel the same way. I was starstruck when I first saw the Royal Court do their little wave. And so these early experiences really do shape us. And then again, going back to your son, I know he will remember that experience. And as you said, you'll continue to expose them to that. But it's those early memories of just seeing Black excellence at its finest that really stick with us the most.
There's no other way to say it. There's no other way to say it. It's seeing the Black excellence at a young age, because I think when I was younger, Black excellence was only shown to me on TV. I don't know how many times I came across something and I thought, That's Black excellence. I probably thought that was really cool. That's amazing, but not really understanding the depths of it.
Mm-hmm.
But TSU was like a hit the ground running and you'll learn how important it is. And then for my son, I'm like, I want you to understand how important it is, because all the people that are amazing in my life, my peers, they all attended HBCUs, you know? So I'm like, I think this is pretty amazing. And we have to keep pushing that narrative, that, you know, we don't come in one shape, one form. You know, when I attended Texas Southern, I met everyone from everywhere. I mean, even out of the country. So I thought that this is literally a melting pot of so much culture, so many experiences, diverse as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, I would do it again, and I'm glad that I made that choice.
And I am too. Otherwise, we would not have ever met.
You wouldn't I don't know
Right.
successful, but I would not have that true understanding of what it's like to be around your people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wholeheartedly agree. One of my favorite memories, I think we're more reminiscent than,
Right.
than anything, but one of my favorite memories of Clark Atlanta is going down the promenade and seeing all the Black people just walk around. And I missed that going to it. Later, I went to a PWI and I was like, where are we? You
Right. And
know?
that's why homecoming is so important for us. I
Yeah.
asked them, I was like, is homecoming like this for every school besides the HBCU? They're like, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's different energy when you go to homecomings. Even if it's not your HBCU, you go to someone else's HBCU, you're like, it's kind of like crazy out here. I love it. Like this energy, I'll stay out here all day, you know? And so that's why I think that homecoming for alum it is the time to reminisce, especially if
Mm-hmm.
you know, run into someone that you met 9 years ago and you guys are thinking about, oh, I remember my favorite moment going down the Tiger Walk and seeing everyone and having the music, and then we have Friday
Right.
Cafe Fridays. You know, it's just like, I mean, there's these little nuances that put us all in the same box together, and we all can talk about it and we can laugh about it. So I think that that's the cool thing, is that there's
Yes.
going to be a lot of similarities between everyone that's attended an HBCU.
Yes. Switching gears just a little bit more, focusing on your background
Mhm.
in STEM and technology in general. What is it like to be a Black woman in this field? And then what advice would you have for someone who is looking to break the barrier and enter this field?
Wow, that's a really good question. And it's something I've actually been thinking about lately a lot more when you start to recognize different things. Being in the field, I will say, when I see another Black woman, we're right here. And I love that for us. I love that we still do that, because we're like, okay, so you see, we're like 1 of 10. So really, there's 2 of us in this whole room. I think the good thing though is to use myself as a resource. When friends ask me to be a part of community service projects, to speak on panels, or to come to a classroom and talk, I think it's great because I want to be a resource. I want people to see like, hey, she looks like me. And she's doing these amazing things and she's awesome. And there's like this inspiration. I won't say hope. There's this inspiration that if I choose this path, there is someone there that will be just like me. And if there's not someone there, I can be like her and just show up. So that way another little girl can say, hey, there's someone like me there. What I've learned, oh, so much, so much. I reflect every year. And one of the things is you can say no. Um,
That's a good one.
I was working really, really late for a long time, realizing that there was no one else working late but me. And I realized my mentality, and I don't know how it changes. I think as you move across the ladder, um, what am I trying to prove by overworking myself? You know, I have a life and I would like to do things that I like to do. And, you know, working after hours is not one of them. I'm sorry, it's not. So I realized I need to set boundaries. You know, everyone's always talking about boundaries, personal boundaries, right? There's professional boundaries I realized that I needed to set, which was not working after hours because one, there's no one here to help if anything goes wrong. The second thing is not to allow my calendar to get overfilled. Lately, it's been really, really crazy. So I've had to set time for myself, wellness time. I'll block my calendar and decline anything that's there that you saw that it was busy, because you don't want to get burnt out. It's not like a work hard, play hard kind of deal. Like work the hours that you feel reflect your salary. Okay. And the second thing is pour into yourself personally, because, if you quit, they're going to find someone in a couple weeks. If you decide to go on your own venture, they're going to find someone in a couple weeks. So you don't want to, this sounds so rough, but you don't want to die tired. Right? You don't want to die tired. You don't want to die because you burnt yourself out for someone who would replace you. Essentially in 2 weeks, that's just what it is. That's how it works. So you have to find those things that keep you going, things that motivate you, keep you balanced, make you happy. If that's taking a walk every 15 minutes after the hour, if that's, I rollerblade in the middle of the day, and I love getting the sun. It makes me feel so much better when I come back, but do not allow yourself to be worked to death. That's what I would tell people.
And it's so funny that you mentioned this, because that was literally going to be one of my questions. How do you manage your career, your personal life, and family life? Because I know you like to travel. I know you like to run and do different things like that. And rollerblade, you have to teach me. I have some skates that have been collecting dust for the past few months.
Listen, I fell like a couple months ago, and it reminded me of when's the last time I fell as an adult. And it's been a while because it hurt.
Yeah.
And
oh my goodness.
I was like, these are little things you forget as an adult because you don't do as much fun stuff. You're everything's so efficient. I noticed that with work, personal and professional. I was like, how can I make this more efficient? I'm like, dang, girl, just live in the moment. Everything doesn't have to be super efficient and micromanaged and timed. So for me, that's where I had to learn how to. I try to more like integrate my life, the different things I like to do. If I know that I'm taking a trip and I'm traveling and I'm trying to like save that PTO, I'll take my laptop to the airport and work up until that time. So I just gave myself back a couple hours that I planned on using. If my son is in piano, then I can sit in the car and I can finish off a couple of things when he's done. So because it's not so much being present, he's by himself. But I do know when I'm with him, I definitely try to be present. One of the small things that I've changed is instead of going through drive-thrus all the time or ordering to go, I try to like sit in and just relax, because everything's so fast. Like, let's go home and eat. Let me eat while I'm working, or let me eat while we're talking. And so I think I've tried to incorporate being more present, doing things that I like, not really waiting on anyone if it's something I want to do. And with my son, I try to ask him, like, what are things you like to do? Because he's a boy. So, we're not going to be the same. And he wants to go to the park and go play in the water. And I'm like, I don't know about how that's going to work. But I took him and I jumped in a couple times, and, not take it so it's just hair. I can wash it later. But I definitely try to live in the moments and like take the quality of a moment and hold on to it, because like I said, I know tomorrow may or may not be there, and I want to live each day literally as if I was like 80 years old, like, and realizing I have more great days behind me than days ahead of me. So I think that I take life more seriously. And that's important, because I was getting caught up in efficiency. And while it's great most of the time, it doesn't actually allow you to live in the moment.
You mentioned something very key about being present in the moment. And I myself have been there, where I have to work to make sure I get all of my 10,000 things done. But hopefully, Lord willing, we live to the next day and you can accomplish those things that next day. Just what is that one thing that has to be done today? Don't overwork yourself and not enjoy life, because as we've been talking about, the past 10 years have gone by so fast, and we don't want to just look up and say, oh, well, what have I really accomplished. So
Right.
when you mentioned that, being present in the moment, I think that is really just one of the key takeaways of today. It's
Absolutely.
just so
Especially
important.
after the, we're still in a pandemic, COVID.
Yes.
But you realize how important it is to pay attention to people, how important it is to be present with them, how important it is to make sure that they're available for whatever, emotional venting or dumping you're going to have. I just realized that everybody has their own thing happening, and we just have to really work hard and paying attention to, how we treat others, how we talk to others, how we show up for others. And that's something that's always been important to me in my friendships is showing up. So I think that people are working through it. And it's really awesome to see the growth in, people's mental state and understanding their mental health. So for me, I'm like, I definitely know that there are things that I would like to work on personally. And it's been really awesome seeing myself grow at the same time. Because I think that's where the joy and the happiness comes from, is not when you arrive at your goal. I think it's the journey to that goal and then the next one.
It really helps you appreciate when you do make it. And of course, there's always something else. But when you make it to that next level, it does help you appreciate, oh, look, you might not have thought you were going to get over that obstacle, but you did. And you can possibly help someone else with that lesson. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And speaking of journey, we love to keep up with our Lady Mogul Talk guests. So what is next for you? What can we expect from Olivia Turner? And then how can we keep up with you in that journey?
There's a lot of things that I'm juggling in the background. I'm trying to let them complete themselves before talking about them. But there are goals that I set within the last 5 years and the last year that are working their way, up the ladder. And I can see that I'm like almost there. I'm almost at the finish line. But I know the end game for my goals, some of the goals that I've created, is that I'm just trying to open the door for the next person. I'm trying to be the vessel. I'm trying to be the resource for those trying to merge into tech or consulting. I'm trying to be the person that is the yes or no, or the person that can take your resume and slide it over and really get you that exposure. So I'm working on some things that would put me in a position to be able to do that for the community and really support diversity and inclusion as a whole.
Well, we definitely cannot wait to see it. I will, of course, be keeping tabs on you. And I'm really sure that I probably enjoyed this segment more than the audience because it gave me a chance to catch up with you. So it's just been so great to see you and know more about what you've done. Like I said, I'm still in awe from earlier because I literally did not know everything that you did during your reign and then even, in years following. So thank you so much for being here. Are there any last words that you want to share with the Lady Mogul Talk audience?
Well, I did get my book. I ordered it the moment it came out. So I have my book here, number 3. And I can't wait to read the other Queen's Journeys. If you haven't, go to Amazon, get the book, HBCU Experience, the HBCU Rural University Queen's 2nd edition, and buy it for your students, your daughters, your sons, anybody that you would like to expose them to an HBCU but can't quite get to an HBCU. I think it's important. And as a reminder to give yourself grace for growth. Everything takes time, but eventually it will happen for you.
Great words to end the segment by. Thank you so much again for spending time with me for Lady Mogul Talk. And for those tuning in, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you in the next segment for another segment of Lady Mogul Talk. Bye, everyone.